Before this story begins, I need you to do something simple. If you enjoy real stories that explore the uncomfortable corners of human emotion, if you believe life doesn't stop surprising us just because we reach a certain age, and if you like stories that start quietly but stay with you long after they end, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because this story isn't about scandal. It's about desire, about aging, about the moment you realize you've been alive, but not awake. And it all began on a grey London morning. I was walking down a narrow London street, the kind of street tourists never photograph. The sky was low and heavy, pressed down like a damp blanket. The pavement glistened from a light drizzle that never quite turned into rain, but never stopped either. London had a way of doing that, hovering between states, never committing fully. I had lived here long enough to stop noticing it. My shoes made a familiar tapping sound against the concrete. Sensible shoes. Practical shoes. The kind of shoes you buy when comfort matters more than excitement. I was 65 years old. Married for 40 years. To Nathan. Nathan was kind. Deeply, genuinely kind. The sort of man people describe using words like reliable and good. He remembered birthdays. He warmed the car in winter. He never raised his voice. And for 4 decades, that had been enough. Or at least, I had told myself it was. Because kindness is lovely. But lovely doesn't make your heart race. Lovely doesn't steal your breath. Lovely doesn't keep you awake at night staring at the ceiling wondering when exactly your life became quiet. Lovely just exists. And lately, I had been wondering if existing was all there was left. I was lost in those thoughts when I saw him. At first, my brain didn't quite register what I was looking at. Just a shape against a red brick wall. A figure that didn't belong to the background the way everyone else did. Then it clicked. A young man. Early 20s, maybe 23. Leaning casually against the wall as if it were his personal property. Messy hair. A worn leather jacket that had clearly lived a life. And then, oh, he was relieving himself. Right there. Out in the open. Whistling softly like this was the most normal thing in the world. I stopped walking. My mind short-circuited. Every logical reaction lined up neatly in my head. I should have been shocked. Offended. Embarrassed on his behalf. I should have crossed the street or turned around or muttered something disapproving under my breath. But I didn't. Instead, I kept walking toward him. To this day, I still don't know why. Maybe it was the audacity of it. Maybe it was how utterly unconcerned he looked. Maybe it was the way he seemed like he'd stepped out of an old European film. Careless, unapologetic, alive. Or maybe, just maybe, it was because for the first time in years, I felt something stir that wasn't boredom. When I was close enough, I cleared my throat. Excuse me. The word came out softer than I expected. As if I were testing whether I was still allowed to speak like that. He jumped, startled, fumbling quickly to zip up. Our eyes met. For a split second he looked young. Caught. Almost embarrassed. Then he smiled. Sorry, he said. His voice was rough, amused, unapologetic. My fault. Here's the part that still makes me shake my head. I didn't look away. I held his gaze longer than polite. Longer than appropriate. Longer than I had held the gaze of a stranger in decades. There was something in the way he looked at me. Not like I was invisible, not like I was someone's wife, not like I was an older woman who should be politely overlooked. He looked at me like I existed. Like I was seen. It was wrong. And that was exactly why it felt exhilarating. I finally broke eye contact and kept walking, my heart thudding louder than my footsteps. What on earth had just happened? Now let me be clear before judgment starts forming. I wasn't some desperate woman chasing youth. I wasn't lonely in the way people imagine. I wasn't unloved. I was married. Comfortably married. But comfort can be a strange kind of silence. As I walked home, my thoughts kept circling back to him. The confidence. The careless grin. The way he stood like the world didn't require his apology. I shook my head. Get a grip. I muttered to myself. This was ridiculous. But the feeling followed me anyway. Nathan greeted me at the door like he always did. Hey Grace. Where've you been? Just walking, I said, hanging up my coat. He'd made breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Coffee. Everything neat and warm and familiar. I appreciated it. Truly. But as I sat at the table, watching him stir honey into his tea, something unexpected bubbled up inside me. Not guilt. Amusement. Because while he talked about his morning meetings, my mind replayed the image of a stranger leaning against brick. It was absurd. Nathan kissed my forehead before leaving for work. The door closed, and in the quiet that followed, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my phone and scrolled. Not for anything specific. Just faces. Youth. Possibility. Harmless, I told myself. Just curiosity. The next morning, I went for my walk again. Same route. Same drizzle. And there he was. Same wall. Same confidence. Same situation. This time I stopped. I watched him for a moment before he noticed me. I could have walked away. I should have. But something in me had shifted. I stepped forward. You really like this spot, don't you? I said lightly. He startled again, then laughed. Déjà vu, he said. Universe must be glitching. I laughed too. An unfiltered laugh I hadn't realized I was capable of anymore. And just like that, the line was crossed. I walked away still smiling, shaking my head at myself. What was I doing? At my house. I bent down to inspect my plants, pretending I had something important to check. Then I felt it. That unmistakable sensation of being watched. I looked up. He was walking past. Slowly. Oh, he said, stopping. You live here? Apparently, I replied. I don't just roam the neighborhood catching exhibitionists. He laughed, surprised. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. I was thinking about you. His eyebrows lifted. Innocently, I added, wondering how you'd manage without a wall. He laughed again, this time genuinely. You're dangerous, he said. Only to men with poor planning, I replied. That's when he told me his name. Adam. And that's when my front door opened. Nathan stepped outside. The contrast was immediate. Adam streiktenet, polite, alert. Nathan looked at me with curiosity. Who's that? He asked later. Just someone asking for change, I said easily. Nathan accepted it without question. Because Nathan always did. That night, Nathan wanted closeness. And I gave it to him. It was familiar. Predictable. Gentle. Fine. Afterward, I stared at the ceiling. I realized something then that terrified me. I didn't want safety. I wanted to feel something sharp. Something risky. Something alive. The next morning I walked again. And this time, Adam didn't stop at the wall. He walked straight to me. We talked. We teased. I handed him water. And then, I invited him inside. Not for scandal. For breakfast. For conversation. For chaos. We cooked together. Hands brushed. Silence stretched. And in that silence, I felt younger than I had in decades. Not because of him, but because of me. That morning didn't end the way stories like this usually promise. No dramatica fight. No grand betrayal. What it gave me was something far more dangerous. Awareness. I realized my life wasn't over. It had just gone quiet. And quiet can always be interrupted. I wish I could tell you that what followed was dramatic. That something explosive happened. That I made a choice so bold it shattered everything. But real endings are rarely loud. They arrive softly, like realization. Adam left just before noon. No ruse. No cuernis. No promises. He stood in my doorway, sunlight catching the edge of his jacket. Hands tucked into his pockets like he didn't quite know what to do with them. Thanks for breakfast, he said. And the company. I smiled. Thanks for reminding me onions exist. He laughed, then hesitated. You're not what I expected, Grace. Neither are you, I replied. And with that he walked away. No lingering glance. No dramatic gudvie. Just footsteps fading down the street. I closed the door and leaned against it, heart steady, mind loud. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't aching. I wasn't longing. I wasn't plotting the next encounter. I felt awake. Later that day, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Same face. Same lines. Same gray threading through my hair. But something was different. My shoulders were relaxed. My eyes were brighter. My posture, stronger. For years, I had blamed time for what I lost. But time hadn't taken it. I had set it down myself. That evening, Nathan came home earlier than usual. He looked tired. Not work tired. Something else. He sat across from me at the table and studied my face. You seem different, he said. I didn't deflect. Didn't joke. Didn't change the subject. I feel different, I answered. He nodded slowly. I've felt invisible lately. That surprised me, because I had assumed I was the only one drifting. We talked. Not about Adam. Not about betrayal. We talked about distance. About routine. About how love can turn quiet without either person noticing. No accusations. No shouting. Just honesty. And for the first time in years, we didn't rush to fix it. We let it exist. Adam didn't come back every day. He didn't become a secret life. He didn't turn into an affair. Sometimes I'd see him down the street and we'd nod. Sometimes we wouldn't. And strangely, that was enough. Because he was never the point. The change wasn't about desire. It was about permission. Permission to feel curiosity again. Permission to laugh without reason. Permission to question a life that had gone untouched for too long. I started walking different routes. Reading different books. Saying no when I meant no. And yes when I meant yes. Nathan noticed. And slowly he changed too. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Not all awakenings destroy marriages. Not all desire leads to betrayal. Not all encounters are meant to last. Some people exist in your life for one reason only. To remind you that you are still alive. Still visible. Still capable of choosing more. A few weeks later, I walked past the red brick wall. It was empty. No Adam. No interruption. No scandal. Just bricks. And yet I smiled. Because I no longer needed the disruption. I had already changed. Life doesn't end when you age. It ends when you stop noticing. And sometimes, all it takes is one unexpected moment. One glance. One ordinary morning. To remember that you're still here. Still breathing. Still choosing. And that realization? That was the most dangerous thing of all. Life doesn't warn you before it wakes you up. It simply reminds you that you're still alive. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, because the next one might change how you see your own life.